Hello everyone, this is Victoria and welcome to my discussion post submission for Module 3. This week we're discussing Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. My last name starts with W and therefore my prompt was to discuss the benefits of the repeal of 230 and to discuss what social media platforms would look like if it did in fact get overturned. So first and foremost, I think it's important to discuss what Section 230 is. Section 230 is a law passed by Congress that is a part of the Communications Decency Act. This law is meant to protect online platforms who host people and communities from the liabilities that can come with free expression. Because the internet is such a massive place with so many different people and so many varying platforms, it is important to have some sort of legislation in place that does protect these entities from the free reign of free expression. So on the front end, the Free Communications Act, Section 230 is relatively okay. But when we dive deeper, we realize that it may not be the best legislation in order to protect everyone from the dangers that can come from harmful rhetoric online. So some people argue that Section 230 is obsolete in a sense because of the active moderation that is already being done by big social media companies and big tech giants. Some say Section 230 enables censorship because of the overreach that already exists in these spaces. Not only are platforms removed from the liability of user moderation within Section 230, but they are able to moderate without consequence and within their own discretion. So essentially, on any platform, if a tech company deems something unlikable or deems something that is not in alignment with their personal views as that company, they can moderate it, which essentially on the surface is fine. But what happens is we get into a slippery slope when there are no clear guidelines of what harmful rhetoric actually is. One thing that is an example, more times than not, in these cases that is especially polarizing, would be the conversation of politics. Whether you lean on the left or the right, it is clear and apparent to see that big tech companies certainly assert their stance one way or another, whether it be via taking down certain commentaries, shadow banning, and a variety of other things that they will do in terms of limiting or eliminating conversations altogether. When Section 230 was first passed, the internet was a lot smaller and decentralized. But now, with the rise of social media within the last decade, platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are mostly dominant. And not only are they mostly dominant, they're the most influential by far. There are tons of algorithms and moderation practices that certainly are into play when we think about our user experience on the internet. And with those algorithms, with those moderations, there are little to no guidelines about their reach with that. Another talking point that often comes up when we talk about the necessity to reform Section 230 would be the monetization that is existing on these platforms as well. A lot of these companies receive ad revenue, receive monetary gain from the pushing of certain narratives. And these narratives, when shared amongst certain users or certain influencers, drives a profit. So that is another talking point about, are some conversations perhaps less moderated because of the financial gain that they bring to these platforms versus other conversations that may not be as accepted because of the financial loss that is often congruent with those conversations. A few of the benefits that would happen as a result of overturning this section could perhaps be increased accountability within these social media platforms. Limiting Section 230 could encourage platforms to be more proactive in content moderation. It could lead for more safeguards. It could lead for more scrutiny around really making things more of a safe space, limiting misinformation, hate speech, or extremism as well. There could be an incentive for better content management when we bring in more legal liability on the table, which Section 230 eliminates the reality of legal liability in terms of making users, companies, or whoever exempt from that within the conversations of digital free speech, per se. This could perhaps empower users and smaller creators and kind of redistribute the power to more than a couple of platforms and eliminate digital monopoly. Another potential pro of eliminating Section 230 could also be the unpolarization of society within digital spaces as well, and truly open up more floor and more space for conversations that are not just synonymous with the narrative or the values of the big tech companies that already exist. How would social media look if Section 230 was reformed? Social media would look a lot different, to say the least. With more moderation, with more responsibility, there would be a deeper level of intentionality, perhaps, behind what people said, what companies said, because the stakes could potentially be a little higher. And by stakes, that would mean accountability. There could potentially, on the adverse side, be more restrictions and censorship from a critical standpoint. But with that, again, could come the reality of more accountability as well. Social media platforms could perhaps face more legal challenges, especially from users and advertisers, and platforms might be sued for allowing harmful content or the failure to moderate effectively on their platforms. In conclusion, Section 230 has played a crucial role in shaping the internet as we know it. That is undeniable. But its current form may no longer be suitable for the issues that we face now in a real-time sense in the modern digital age. While it originally helped foster the protection of platforms from liability or the unnecessary scrutiny or backlash potentially of others, it's gotten to a point where, because of such overreach, misinformation, and harmful content, it's made it perfectly clear that reform is necessary. By amending 230, we would encourage platforms to take more responsibility for the content that they host and promote safer and more transparent online spaces. This would ensure that every user is having a more healthy, well-versed, ethical internet experience. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.